They call themselves Taxpayers for Common Sense. Look out, Congress. There's a bird dog on your trail, and he's trying to sniff out how you're spending our money.
I'm Steve Ellis, president of Taxpayers for Common Sense. TCS was founded on a central vision that no one, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, wants to see their taxpayer dollars wasted, and that every taxpayer deserves a government that is effective and efficient. In 1995, our co-founders saw Taxpayers for Common Sense as a missing element in the policy landscape. They committed TCS to being a nonpartisan organization that would speak fiscal truth to power.
Once a wasteful government program is killed, it ought to stay dead.
And highlight wasteful programs that poorly spend our money and shift long-term risk and liability to the taxpayer.
Budget of the Living Dead epitomizes why Americans are disgruntled and cynical about their government.
Our very first report, Budget of the Living Dead, set us on our way, making sure that we're snarky but accurate, that we're pithy but have the details. Budgets are really dry, and when people look at the numbers, their eyes glaze over. That's why we use colorful language, mixed metaphors, and even the occasional alliteration to get people to pay attention to what we are doing.
I like to call us forensic earmarkists, where we go out there and we comb the public records.
Building a levee that's supposedly going to protect soybean fields, and we're growing subdivisions.
If you want to get money, rob a bank. If you want to get an earmark, put it in the defense bill.
There's no reason why the military can't tell taxpayers what it did with $18 billion of our money.
We identified more than $380 billion in wasteful government subsidies that are damaging the environment and also costing taxpayers billions.
25 years on, it's clear that our co-founders, Rafael DeGennaro and Jill Lancelot, were visionary. They recognized that we need to have bipartisan solutions to these problems.
Bringing people together who have never been in the same room together, who would never think about being in the same room together, is one of the ways that you can get the attention of members of Congress across the political spectrum.
Getting things accomplished in Washington, D.C. can take years, but TCS scored significant victories, no matter who controlled Congress or the White House. 20 years ago, our advocacy helped stop construction of the wasteful Auburn Dam. Then we had to do it again the next year. We've learned that you have to kill until it's dead, dead, dead. We shined a light on the corrupt process that eventually put the Boeing tanker deal on the no-fly list in 2003. And after we appeared in numerous congressional hearings on hurricane disaster relief in 2005, we won a vote in the Senate that forced the Army Corps of Engineers to adopt our common sense recommendations, like peer review of costly or controversial projects. In 2017, we succeeded defeating an attempt to roll back policies designed to reduce methane waste. We've tackled wasteful spending and tax breaks in energy and natural resources, runaway Pentagon spending, irresponsible agriculture subsidies that are thinly veiled corporate welfare, transportation and infrastructure spending that is in some cases wasteful, but in others dangerous. Taxpayers for Common Sense isn't funded by corporations, unions, governments, or anyone with a financial stake in our advocacy. Our independence and focus mean we continue to be one of the most frequently cited sources by major fact-checking outlets. That is why our staff has testified before more than a dozen different congressional committees as witnesses for both Democrats and Republicans. The very first contributor to Taxpayers for Common Sense was Senator William Proxmire. He pioneered rooting out government waste through his Golden Fleece Award. In 2000, he asked Taxpayers for Common Sense to continue his legacy, and we have, awarding the Golden Fleece to a wide litany of projects. It was over beers at the Hawk and Dove that we dubbed the innocent-sounding Gravina Access Project the Bridge to Nowhere, gave it a fleece, and stopped it. Bill Sapphire of the New York Times called it the phrase that launched 1,000 editorials. Then there were fleeces for blender pumps for corn ethanol, and shipping coal from Pennsylvania to fuel military bases in Germany, and many more. Taxpayers deserve a federal government that is efficient and effective. And a key part of that is transparency and accountability, because this is what makes our democracy work. And that has never been more important than it is now. That goes for us too. At TCS, we always show our work. We make sure people understand not only our recommendation, but how we got to that recommendation. And because of this, TCS is respected by both our opponents and our allies.
Ms. Alexander, You know, you have the best title in Washington, Taxpayers for Common Sense.
And you've done a great job, and I think very fearless, of covering a lot of different areas of cuts.
Because we are scrupulously accurate. We are meticulous in our preparation, and we get the details right. To work at TCS, you have to be smart and dedicated, and a sense of humor helps too. We've been very fortunate to have staff that have remained committed to the organization. Autumn Hanna has served for 20 years. So have I. Ryan Alexander was president for 13 years and served on the board for 7 years before that. Josh Sewell has been here for more than a dozen years, and Mike Sarisco more than a decade. There is no revolving door at TCS. People come and work hard. Considering the looming debt and deficit crisis that we are facing, you might think a budget watchdog is a cynic. But no, you have to be an optimist to do our job. We are broadening our reach as we look ahead. One of the biggest challenges we face as taxpayers and as a nation is the cost today and tomorrow from the effects of climate change. Intensifying hurricanes, flooded cities and farms, wildfires and drought. Showing people the soaring price of climate change will accelerate our country's response. Fiscal responsibility is not the election cycle flavor of the month at TCS. As this organization embarks on its second quarter century, we are continuing to work hard for taxpayers to ensure that we have a responsible federal government. So please, come join us in this fight for common sense.